a couple high speed runs. We're live. All right. Oh God. What's up, people? We are back for another test drive. This time, we're on the Zero. Alright, so before I start really ripping this thing and going to town with it, I guess let me give you guys a little brief background history on this bike for all you new watchers. If you've been following my channel for a while, there's a whole build series on this bike. What I did was I took the original brushed motor. I think it's like an A125 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the motor was inside this thing, but I removed the brush motor and I put the Golden Motor 5kW liquid cooled motor on the Zero frame. The bike's not crazy fast. The bike does 45 miles an hour. That's nothing compared to the 55 mile an hour that the pit bike does. The acceleration is not as hard as the pit bike, but this thing does have a massive 72 sprocket on the back, so it kind of compensates for it. It's a lot of fun on the dirt. I feel like if you have any more power than this, the bike will be all over the place. It has a Maguru throttle on it, which I'm not a fan of. I do not like these throttles. I don't like how they feel. I use a cycle analyst gauge for a gauge cluster. There's the voltage. You can see the kilowatts it pulls when I drive. And that one just goes back and forth with amp hours, which says it's 16.72, which I'm not too sure how that knows that, but that's not right. So that's the quick history on the bike. So I guess let's get to riding. So as far as suspension goes, it's got a fast Ace rear shock and it's got basically mountain bike forks in the front. So it's not crazy suspension, but the bike doesn't weigh a lot, so it kind of makes up for it. You keep the bike light, you don't need crazy suspension. Let's rip through the woods and you can hear what it sounds like. I mean, for mountain bike suspension, it actually is pretty soft and plush. It's very icy out, so I'm trying to keep it pretty mild. Also, my hip is not 100% healed, so I'm not trying to fall. So if the riding isn't that fast, it's because of me, not the bike. But okay. There's a lot of mud on this property. Oh my, look at the mud. All right, so this is some deep mud back here. Now, with most bikes, I would imagine people are afraid of the mud, but since this motor is water cooled, it's not air cooled, so there's no fan cooling the motor off. So the motor is actually watertight. It's sealed. Now, I don't have the cooling system ran on this motor, but in a future build, I might use this motor on something else, and we will use the cooling system. But as far as mud entering the motor, I'm not afraid of it because it is a sealed motor. The batteries, on the other hand, they're mildly sealed sitting in this compartment. I try not to get that soaked. And the controller is tucked up on here. I should actually talk about the controller a little bit. So the controller is a 10 kW controller. It's a Vector 500. You can pull 500 amps through that controller, which is insane at 96 volts, I think it's rated for. I'm nowhere near that. I'm actually down tuned a lot with that controller just to use these batteries and the motor, but it definitely does the job for pushing it along. Eventually I'm going to use this power plant in a different bike and we'll use way bigger batteries and we can take advantage of all that extra amps that the controller could push. Let's go into the open field. Thing rips. Yeah! Woo! On this property, we do have other bikes. I got my little cousin on a quad. It's a Kawasaki 250. I think it's called. Oh, we'll ask her what it's called. A Moab? What is that thing called? A Moab? Mojave. So we could race the Zero versus that 250. We'll do some drag racing with it, and I'll just show you how fast this thing is. You want to line up and do it? Alright, let's go race. This thing does not stand a chance against the 250 quad up on the top end, because like I said, this thing tops out at 45 miles an hour, and that quad could probably go way faster than that. But we have a short strip of grass over here, which we can still do some short drag races with it. It is currently 127. We'll do like a mild kill test. The battery's still at 80 volts. So this is gonna be pass number 1. We're gonna start on go. Okay? Ready, set, go! And it eats! We got water! Alright. Let's do another pass. Are you ready? One more race, and then maybe we'll try a different quad after. On your mark, set, go! I don't think that this thing was ever really designed to be a motocross bike. I think it's more of like an enduro bike for trail riding. That's where this thing feels like it's at home. Like I wouldn't feel too comfortable launching this thing off a really big ramp, but I do feel comfortable ripping this thing through the woods. Did we go this way yet? I do run regen braking on this bike because I feel like it helps with the brakes. Oh, it's just burning. There's so much mud, so everything's just so slick, and I'm really not trying to re-brake my pelvis, so I'm kind of taking it easy. But oh, it eats. Yeah! This is so fun! Let's do a little wood opening here. Nice! Wow. There's this thing called range anxiety where people freak out because they feel like that they're gonna run out of battery before they get back to the destination. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing with gas bikes. I mean, like, you're in the woods like this and you run out of gas on your gas bike, you're kind of stuck in the woods. Same thing with running out of battery on an electric bike. So I feel like it's not something that you should be really concerned about. You should definitely plan your trips and keep in the back of your mind that as the battery starts to die, you should start heading out of the woods. But as far as range anxiety being a limited factor to someone that wants an electric bike, I would say don't worry about it and just be smart when you ride. Oh my god, the tire swing back here. This is really putting a strain on the batteries, just holding it wide open. But this is a kill test. Let's go into the woods. So another thing I noticed with this is the chain drive just makes so much noise on this bike, and I'm not too sure why. It is possible that I do need to replace the chain on it, because the chain I feel like does have a lot of slack, but it's so much louder than the pit bike. It just whines. Look at the horsies. So one thing I do gotta say is, oh god, whoa! All right, well, then I was saying, After I built the Electro Company Thumbstar pit bike, I kind of lost interest in the Zero because of the speed difference. But now that I'm riding it in its natural habitat out in the woods over here, I gotta say that this thing is a blast to ride. So for all you guys that are just hunting speed and just want to go faster and faster, I would say take a step back. Instead of chasing the mile an hours, go ride some more technical trails or terrain. You're not going to need the 55 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour. You're not going to need that. You could literally be doing 20 miles an hour on some technical stuff and have a blast with these things. So it's not always about going really fast. So this is just going to be a torture test, full throttle, not going to let off, and I'm just going to try to do circles around the open land. So ready, set, let's go. Just going to stay in it the whole time. We'll start turning here. All right. Oh, I hear the battery already struggling actually. I had to back off. I couldn't make this turn into the woods. There we go. We're gonna cross the water into the back. I take that back. This is definitely not going full throttle the whole time. Whoa! Jams on the front brakes. This side trail. Catch the rut. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Next rut. Get it. Last rut. Opening to the open field. I kind of feel like the battery is struggling now. Keep going. Yeah, it's definitely, the voltage sag is getting to it. But we are past the hour mark. Let's keep it going. This is super muddy over here. Through this hairpin turn. Oh! Okay, I lost the bike. Alright guys, I've already did the property a couple times. We've done a couple loops. For the sake of the batteries, I think I'm gonna kind of call it quits on the video. The voltage, it is 70. It is sagging pretty heavy, which is a sign of the battery's getting pretty low. And I feel like this pretty much covers up the capabilities of the Zero. So why not just bring this video to an end? But before we do, the time is 2:36, and I would say that's about the average. Actually, no, I take that back. I feel like it does last longer, but the cold factor and just the fact that I didn't bring the battery down to dead, it's a good idea of what the range on this thing is. If you like what you saw, give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and just drop a comment down below if you want to see anything different. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.